Several made their mark, and 2 vapor beasts fell from the sky with piercing screams. But the one bearing the rider did not fall. From the stables far below she heard a bark. Axel, Emma's spearhound, came around the edge of the building, startling soldiers' horses and sending wildsmen scattering. His paws were the size of dinner plates, and his head reached the height of most draft horses. He galloped down the lane, sending up a cloud of dust behind him. The groomsmen should have had him contained in the stables. Axel saw her on the roof and let out a deep howl as Demir and his vapor beast circled the tower. He would be upon her in moments. Inside the tower room, Jonas clung fiercely to his father's sword. He thrust the tip at a red-haired shaman, who grinned at him maliciously. The other had already followed Emma out of the window. What was the blasted girl thinking, going out there? How was Jonas supposed to keep her safe when she went climbing onto rooftops? Like Jonas, Emma had been trained on the sword, but she had never shown much interest in her lessons. Even if she had her sword on her, Jonas knew she wouldn't last long against the shamans. He faced the shaman alone. Kib was fending off the wildsmen at the base of the stairs, keeping them from getting into the tower. The shaman circled the small desk and raised his sword, but Jonas blocked his sideswipe. The shaman recovered, but paused his attack, glancing toward the window. An odd smell, like rusted iron, came from the wind outside. Jonas heard screeching, followed by screams. A red-winged vapor beast flashed by the window, and fear shot through Jonas. Vapor beasts could only mean one thing. The shaman looked back at him, smiling. "My master has arrived," he said. "It's time I finished you." The shaman opened his mouth. Sharism, Jonas thought. Quickly lifting his shield as smoke began to pour out the corners of the shaman's mouth. Seconds later, a fiery light burst from the shaman's open mouth. A fire-turner! Great! The attack glanced off Jonas's shield and hit a chair, causing the wood to catch flame. The bursts of fire were erratic and hard to predict. The shaman sent another wave of heat at him before he could blink. Jonas somersaulted across the floor and slid under the desk, just as the blast disintegrated one of the desk's wooden legs in a puff of flame and smoke. Another screech from the vapor beasts came through the window. "Emma, I'm on my way," Jonas called, crawling out from under the desk. He couldn't let this shaman stand in his way. He felt a hot tingling start at his toes, the warmth quickly spreading up to his knees. What in the winds is happening? The feeling filled him entirely. One part light and wispy, the other like a furnace raging inside him. The energy wanted to get out. The shaman opened his mouth again, sending another rippling wave of yellow inferno toward him. The energy would sear the flesh off his bones if it hit him. With a jolt, Jonas jumped. The storm within him launched him off the ground, and he flipped in midair. Suddenly he found his feet planted not on the ground, but on the ceiling. Down had become up, and Jonas was like a mosquito perched on the ceiling. The airy energy poured into all of his limbs, making his body feel light, as though gravity no longer held him. He looked down at the stone floor. The shaman cocked his head, surprised. Jonas was shocked himself. "I'm using Sharism. My father—" But he didn't have time to think about it. He ran across the ceiling as the shaman launched more explosions at him. One burst bounced back, overturning the desk before hitting the wall, darkening the stones with smoke stain. More bursts hit the ceiling, sending down a shower of ash and stone dust. The shaman's red hair quickly became covered in white powder. Jonas found he could run faster than ever before, but the shaman's fire still barely missed him. The furnace of energy was like a fury inside him. He knew that if he opened his mouth, the power would shoot out of him like lightning. A voice inside him urged him to do just that. Unleash the power upon the shaman below. No, it's Sharism, Jonas thought. I can't have Sharism. The storm burned hotter within him, until Jonas feared he would melt from the inside out. Below him, the shaman roared in anger. Jonas turned just as a blinding yellow bolt hurtled toward him. He lost his hold on the ceiling and fell. His head hit the stone floor, and everything went black.